Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton, episode 81. We have a three-person lineup ahead of UFC 275 and a BKFC fight this Friday. First up, we're going to be joined by one half of the main event in Jiri Prochazka to preview his light heavyweight title fight against Glover Teixeira. Always enjoy talking to Jiri. We did it when he was out in Thailand. He did part of his camp out there, got accustomed to the time zone, so he's all used to it in Singapore, and just kind of getting used to the element and the climate. So really good chat with Jiri about already fighting for a UFC title in his third fight, how he kind of sees this one playing out. And we also touched on the light heavyweight division and kind of where he sees some of these up-and-comers going. We're then going to be joined by former UFC middleweight and now BKFC heavyweight Alan Belcher to preview his main event fight against Frank Tate. Alan's looked very good since coming back. He hadn't fought since that 2013 fight against Michael Bisping. And then all of a sudden he returns in August of last year at heavyweight in BKFC. Since then he's gone 2-0 in BKFC. He's had 3 boxing fights, including one just last month when he got a second round knockout. And now he says that's kind of the goal, is to just bounce around BKFC and boxing and eventually become a top 10 heavyweight in boxing, where he thinks he can have a lot of success just because of his fight IQ and how taking all those years off really allowed him to really develop into a complete fighter. And then we close out the program talking to Jack Della Maddalena, who's a really intriguing prospect, opening up the main card against Ramzan Ameev. Jack picked up his first UFC win back in January, where he scored a first-round knockout over Pete Rodriguez. He earned his way into the UFC after beating Angelusa on Contender Series. He's an interesting guy. Started out his career 0-2, then rallied off 11 straight wins, and now gets a tough test in Ramzan Ameev, who's not an easy out for anyone, but good chat with Jack, who thinks he has all the skill sets to beat Ramazan, maybe even get that finish and really show that he's a top 15 welterweight. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're joined by Jiri Prochazka, who's fighting for UFC gold in Singapore. Jiri, how's it going, man?
Yeah. Hi, I'm great, amazing.
First, I gotta ask, we've been trying to do this for a bit now. I know you were in Czech and now you're out in Thailand. Is that something you normally do, is head out there to finish off your camps, or what kind of brought you out there?
Before a few moments, I had strength training, and I'm training there in island Phuket Island, especially in the gym Bang Tao. And I have everything there, and I'm enjoying the trainings, enjoying the sun and the beach, and it's amazing to have these places for a finishing preparation. Yeah, because it's much better for regeneration. It's much hard for the breathing. This weather, so it's good.
And did you bring your usual training partners out there, or are you just working with the people in Thailand?
I'm working with the people there, but in these two last weeks, I don't need people or a lot of sparring partners, because every sparring, every important training of the technique, it's done, and now I will just keeping work on the details, making my conditioning training to be in the best condition, to be sharp as weapon.
Is part of the reason why you went out there is because of the time? It's a very similar time zone to Singapore, so you're going to already be adjusted?
Yeah. That's true. And I want to be not just by time. I want to be there. I want to be prepared for these weather, that, because it's for me it's much harder to breathe these wet oxygen. Yeah, so it's good. It's great to adapt for that, and these trainings is amazing. I like it.
Did you ever think you'd be fighting for the title in just your third UFC fight?
Not so quick, not so fast, but that was That was the reason for this with the stepping in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
When I stepped in the UFC, I said with my team, we want to go. We want to go for the title fastest way as we can, fastest way as I can, and I'm just keeping my word, and that's all. That's all.
And you were in the arena when Glover submitted Jan. Like, were you surprised that it was Glover now that you're fighting, or did you kind of think he was going to beat Jan?
Man, before the fight, maybe 1 month before this fight, I think everybody expect that Jan will be winner. But when I saw the Glover in Abu Dhabi on the hotel, I saw his focus and his motivation. I feel the motivation from him on the hotel, and that was amazing. That was amazing, and it was inspirative. Yeah, and then I started to think about the Glover like about about somebody who's underestimated.
With Glover, like, how excited are you to fight him? Just because he's like a legend in this sport, like he's a champion at such an old age, like so many people respect him, and he's fought kind of everyone. So how excited are you that you get to share the octagon with him?
I'm excited. I respect him because he's a normal, like a normal guy, a true warrior. Because it's amazing. he 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 get the belt in this age, yeah. And he not defend. He win by many guys. No, not he win by many guys. He won a lot of fights with young guys, with strong guys, and man, it's amazing. Especially the Smith, especially the Santos, yeah, and all these guys. That's the guys in the best shape right now, I think, and he proved that he's a true champion. He's a true champion. But now it's coming my time, and not believing I know it's now it's my time, and I just have to do my things, my strategy, uh, my fantasy in a cage. I will just show my evolving from my last fight. That's what I want to prove.
You fought and won the Risen title. Like, how much do you think that's going to help you here, where you already know what kind of preparation is needed to win a world title?
Yeah, that was the fighting in the Rising. These 5 years was for me so important, and that's what I'm taking from now. That power, that skills, that that calm, which I can use in the UFC, because it, I started to know in the Rising what is the fighting about, like like the focus from the media's focus for me, and all these things. What's normally giving the pressure on you, and now I think I'm I'm good with that. I don't care, because I'm just living myself, and that's all.
With Glover too, like we've seen him be able to take a lot of shots and like even get dropped and recover. So like, Is that something you're working on, is not rushing anything? Because we've seen him kind of lure people into his game and onto the ground when he gets hurt.
Yeah. I like to finish the fight in not just to leave the fight leave the fight till the till the judges. So I just can say that I'm going for a win from first second of the fight till the knockout. That's all. I think it's a natural. It's a natural, and it's an who's the who understands a true way of a warrior. That man keeping everything in his hand, not just to leave the fight till something. And that's what I want to do, and that's what I will do.
Glover has a very good ground game. We haven't really seen much of your ground game in the UFC. Like, do you kind of expect him to try to take you down pretty often and try to see how your ground game is?
I don't expect nothing, but I will just I can say just I will show my best, and I will be prepared for that, especially for that, because he is strong in that, and it's a simple. I'm the most of my fights will be was in a stand up, and he's very good in on the ground, so it's a simple, yeah, for everybody. And but I will be very patient, very patient. I will keep patient for his stand up too, because he's he make he evolved in the stand up too. So I will be ready for everything. That's why I'm here. That's why I trained a lot of with wrestlers, with jiu-jitsu guys, and I think I'm ready.
You kind of said it earlier. Like, do you think you win by knockout? Like, is that how you think you get it done?
Doesn't matter for me. It doesn't matter. For me, it doesn't matter if it'll be in the first round by the knockout. That will be by that. If will be in the 5th round, that doesn't matter. I have to count with every single possibility. Yeah, that's very important. I have to keep this stand in my mind, because I don't want to, if when I did something like that, to when I started to end the fight before in the first round or second round, when by my will, it was something like that. But I think I have to leave it and let the moment keep working in myself.
You get your hand raised and the belt gets wrapped around your waist. Like, what's that moment like to be a UFC champion?
One more time, please.
What's that going to be like when you get your hand raised and the belt gets wrapped around your waist and you're a UFC champion?
I don't want to speak about that before that happen, but that will be amazing, and just and part of the way.
Just last thing, like Jan Blachowicz got that big win over Rakic. Do you think he's next in line for the winner of your fight?
Yeah, I think that's true. But yeah, I think, yeah. That's true.
Is that something too? You want to fight him just because you've already prepared for him and Glover back last October?
One more time, please. I didn't hear you.
Is that like a fight you want? Is Jan just because you already prepared for him last October when you were the backup?
When I was backup, I was ready for how the Glover and the Jan too.
Mhm.
I was not choose somebody, but there was, yeah, we had some speaking with the Jan, but for me it doesn't matter if the next fight will be with the Jan or whoever.
Just one more quick thing. You still got the warrior hair going. Last time you told me it was all about it. Still got it going.
Yeah, still, and now it's just my hair. So
Yeah.
I think it's for me. I feel that much better. It's much better and much better movement, and this hair is my weapon too. So, but here.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jiri, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Let's go.
All right, we're joined by Alan Belcher, who's headlining a BKFC card. Alan, how's it going, man?
What's up? What's up, Cole? Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah. Before we get into your fight, like you surprised a lot of people, like hadn't fought since 2013, and then they see you at heavyweight. Like, can you kind of walk me through what those 7-8 years were like when you were off?
Yeah, man, it was about 8 years. What was it like when I was off? Yeah, I mean, I went and just got more into my family and business, and went totally different route for a while. And back in 2013, whenever I decided 2013, actually, you know what? It was about my 2013 was my last fight with Bisping. That one shook me up a little bit because I got poked in the eye and cut in my eye that I already had 2 surgeries on. So I just had a lot of fear of maybe, I'm getting, things are happening for a reason. Well, something's telling me, and I was 29 years old, which at the time I felt like, I'm approaching 30 and I've been doing this for a long time. I need to be UFC champ now. So in my mind, I should have been a lot further ahead than I was. And I was like, man, this is coming to the end of the career. You're dealing with this, like save your health. I got 2 little kids and I already had a lot of business stuff going on. And, so I just decided to, hey, I can make it as something else. And I just needed that time anyways to discover myself and to discover, a lot of different things. So, man, it was just those 8 years was just business and, kids growing up and stuff and all that. So I got to a point where I would think about it, every once in a while, and it became less and less over time. And once I stopped thinking about going back fighting, so that was about the time everyone stopped kind of asking me about it. They're like, okay, and everyone started accepting that thing. And it was almost like I needed like a little bit of underdog pressure or something. So then I'm, 36, 37 years old. And I'm like, oh man, if I ever am going to fight, it needs to be now. Like you can't wait any longer. Mm-hmm. And so just a string of events kind of led up to me and Feldman, negotiating and coming up with a deal to come into BKFC. BKFC, just like UFC and kickboxing and, bare knuckle boxing back in the day, they all started down here in the Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, away from the bigger states with more rules and things like that. So BKFC was born and raised right down here. So I'm starting to, some of my buddies are fighting in it, and some of some of my students and friends that were coaching in there and stuff like that. So I got and just in the beginning, it was just like anything else, or just like everyone else is kind of looks at bare knuckle as like, why need to take the gloves off, right? We already have this sport established with gloves, and you take them off, you're kind of regressing, and it's brutal or whatever. And then I started to see how the different type of challenge it is, right? Especially with the mental game, and there's a whole lot of things kind of like interested me in it. So I started thinking about that. Started exploring if I wanted to do some grappling, something competitive, whatever, and then just ended up choosing to go to BKFC and go down that path first. So here we are, a year later.
And then part of the big surprise was you at heavyweight, and it's not like you got like fat like some people do. Like you got massive. Like, was it a lot of just lifting during your time off?
Yeah. So when I stopped, when I got away from fighting and stuff, my training was just more like maintenance. Like I felt like, I'm going to keep doing jiu-jitsu and doing enough to kind of coach and to keep, progressing along or whatever. But I really got into strength training and bodybuilding and those types of things. So about 4 or 5 years there was kind of straight, just working on things that were related to strength and bodybuilding, so I got big. I got up to like the biggest I got in lean was 260. Yeah, probably that. Yeah, probably right at 260. And I was very lean and shredded, just big and strong, and I've been 260 fat before too. So, I mean, I've carried a lot of different weights. And back when I fought in UFC, I was usually, my out of shape back then was about like my best shape now, like the weight anyways. So I would be in the 220, 225, maybe even 230 off season at the end of my career fighting at 185 pounds. But I was just kind of like puffy and whatever, because you get this whole like cut all this weight, then you're burnt out, and then you go on this, binge eating and things, you gain all this weight and everything. So now I'm down. I try to stay around 220, 225, something like that.
You've already done 2 BKFC fights. Like, they went pretty well for you. So how excited are you when you got the call that you'd be headlining your first one now?
Yeah, man, I was very excited about that. These last couple fights probably could have, I could have been having a title shot. And, this fight could be a title shot, maybe not, whatever. I'm just trying to be patient with it. So, but whenever this opportunity came up, I was like, all right, now we're headlining. Now the fight after this is definitely a title shot. Everything's coming together. This is really happening. Everything that you're working for, manifesting, it's all pointing you in the direction of that bare knuckle belt.
And Frank Tate, like, was this a guy you thought you might have fought after he just knocked out Joey Belcher pretty quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As soon as that fight was done, I was like, okay, now Tate has earned his spot. Because after the fight I had with Bobo, Frank got in the ring and wanted to fight me. And my response was basically like, yeah, of course you do, because I have the name. I'm knocking people out, and that would be really good for you, but you haven't really earned it. And now Tate has earned it for sure. He's knocked out a couple people. He's looking good in there. So I think this is the right fight.
And I think the craziest thing about Frank's little run is he's 46, like he's doing at this old age, getting it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, man. This is his shot right here. He's at that. He can't wait any longer. He has no time to waste. Everything he's worked for has led up to this. All his athletic abilities and fighting experience is now right at this point where he is at his peak. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. I feel like he's one of the best guys in the world for sure, to do this against. And bare knuckle is still
with BKFC though, like how much different is training like now that you don't have to worry about the ground and all that stuff? Like, is it a lot more like I've talked to fighters who've gone from UFC to BKFC and they all rave about how much more fun training is now.
Oh yeah, it is a lot more fun. It's not as yeah. I mean, in MMA, really, I think people underestimate how much the wrestling and grappling is you know, it's hard. I don't think that people are recovering enough. I mean, it's like you get your strength and conditioning, you do any kind of resistance training, and then you're grappling and wrestling and all that. It's just really, it's hard. It becomes a grind. And I see a lot of the fighters are like, I'm going, I didn't want to go to the gym this morning, but I did today. I was like, all right, well, fuck. I don't ever feel like that. I feel great all the time. I love going to the gym. It's like, and I train my ass off, but it's just, I've learned a lot about it. So, if I ever do MMA again, then I know how to train for it. And as a matter of fact, I'm still wrestling, grappling a little bit here and there. So, yeah, man, it seems like it's a lot more manageable just training for boxing.
And now that you have 2 fights under your belt in BKFC, like how much more comfortable are you in there? Where I've talked to people that make the BKFC debut and the whole worry is you got to land your hands in the right spot or it's easy to break your hands, or like, how's your face going to feel with the bare knuckles? Now that you've done it, like how much more comfortable and better do you think you are in there?
Night and day. Yeah, it's not even close. I had some, I have a lot of experience and stuff, so I kind of knew somewhat. I had a good educated guess, on what it would be like, and so I started down that road. Once I got in there, I was able to confirm and demystify certain things, whatever. So, yeah, it's just been constant improvement ever since then. The pace, the pace, and the distance, the accuracy. Totally, I wouldn't say a different defense or offense. It's more advanced, and I think people will see that eventually. That as far as, especially if you look at it compared to just regular boxing, it's more advanced and more detailed, more of a risk and stuff. So anytime you raise that risk, you have to focus a lot more. Otherwise it could be over a lot faster with a cut or, whatever. This fight could end very quickly. It's very risky,
With Frank, like, how do you kind of see playing out? Just because I think they made this main event for a reason. Like, you both are high action guys, like both with a lot of knockout power. Like, how do you kind of see it playing out?
I'm going to knock out Frank very early. That's the only way that it goes down in my mind. If it goes, what's really dangerous, I think, for Frank is if I don't knock him out early, it gets worse. It gets worse as the fight goes on. So, but I don't see it going very long. I'm going right off the line, come right off the scratch line, going right at him hard, and finding my range, getting my flow, and finding the knockout quickly within the first minute.
You do that, like get the knockout. Like, do you think it has to be title shot next?
Yes, 100%.
And
100%. Who else?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I thought you should have got it. I thought you could have got it right now.
Could have, yeah, for sure. I mean, of course, there's, Belcher is kind of, he got really knocked down with that last one. Kleckler, no. Who else? Burns, hell, no. Who else is there? I mean, yeah, it just makes sense. It just makes sense.
What have you made of Arnold Adams, like the heavyweight champ, his kind of run recently?
Yeah. I mean, I've studied his fights and everything because I'm already training and preparing to fight him. I do. I have techniques and things that I work on every single day that are for Arnold Adams. So I think that I got a good little head start on him, for whenever that fight happens. What do I think about him? I think that he's a good fighter. He's not as good as me. He's not as fast as me. Not as smart as me, skilled as me, not as much emotional intelligence as me. And I just beat him in every aspect. Not to take anything away from him, he's a tough fighter. He showed that he can be aggressive and brawl if he needs to, and that he has that mental toughness. But just in all the areas, I just feel like I beat him. I'm stronger, more power, more knockout power, more endurance, more movement, more just everything. He's a good fighter, but I'm the best bare knuckle boxer right now at heavyweight. So I just can't wait to get there and get that belt, and then try to find somebody else that wants to try to take it.
Just two more things. I was looking at your record earlier, and you already have 3 fights in this year with like 2 boxing fights. Like they were like 2 weeks apart. Yeah. Some of them. Like, was that always the goal this year, is to get as many fights as possible?
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm right now. Yeah, boxing. I'm just racking up records, just knocking people out in pro boxing, and getting experience because I don't have any time. So I need experience. I need experience more than anything else is very important. So I need to get better faster. So every month I'm just jumping up, boom, boom, boom. And whenever I have these boxing fights, I don't care what anybody says, you get better. It doesn't matter who you fight. Going through the experience over and over and over, it's the reps that you get in. It's the reps that you get in. So I'm trying to box as much as possible and build my record there. So when you look in 2023, by the end of 2023, not only will I have the belt, the bare knuckle belt, but people will start to notice that, oh shit, Alan's 10-0, 15-0 in boxing, and just climbing up the ranks. My 2 fights ago, I went up 100 ranks in pro boxing. So I mean, I'm on track to be top 10 next year, and fighting the biggest names in the world or whatever. But hopefully we can bring them over to bare knuckle. That's what I would like to see. I think that's what Feldman and BKFC would like to see, is the UFC champs coming up and taking the gloves off, or free agents taking the gloves off, or pro boxers or whatever. That's what the fans want to see. That's what the world wants to see. That's what, I used to feel like it was dirty in the way that people looked at the sport, and they didn't see the technique and the art and things. But things have changed, and people do see the art. They see the technique, and they know the riskiness about MMA was what's attracted them. It's because they know it takes a different level of person, and that's what a fan is looking at. They're looking at fighters doing something that they would never dream of doing. It's a different brain, it's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of life. And it's very, very interesting to people. So whenever you take the gloves off and you go bare knuckle, it's just another layer of that. It's another level of that. It's scarier. There's more to risk, right? And on both sides, hitting the guy, it's like a weapon. It's like a knife cutting you. And whenever you're hitting your hands, if your hands break, then you don't have your weapons, to use in the fight. So it's very cool. I like it.
Just last thing, like, it seems like you're focused on BKFC and boxing, but like, have you ruled out ever going back to MMA, or is that still something you think might happen one day?
We'll see, man. Whatever my manager thinks, and whatever we need to do, there'll be some type of collaboration with BKFC, I'm sure. But it's whatever. I definitely haven't ruled it out. I'm not sitting here saying I'm bare knuckle, is the only way from here on out. Whatever challenges me, and first off, whatever makes me happy, and that it's probably going to be challenging or whatever is going to make me happy, right? But that's what it's about. It's about me, what I want to do, what makes me happy, number one, and then number two, where's the money at? I want that. I want the big payday. It's part of my legacy is the pay. So I left something on the table with the UFC. UFC career, I left something there. I left out the big paydays. I left, the development and evolution of the sport in MMA. I was a very big part of that. Me and Coach Duke Rufus and all the people up there, and really everyone that I worked with. It was an evolution of the striking being integrated, the Muay Thai and the slickness of striking being integrated into MMA, and then with the leg locks and integrate the leg locks and that type of thing. So I really missed being not being able to train myself, to experiment on myself, train myself, and take the evolution of this science further and further, and put that on the stage and perform, and then see that come out in other fighters. So I felt like it's my duty to continue that. It was one of the things that kept me coming back. So now I'm on that track again, developing, evolving the sport.
Do you not think there's a bit of unfinished business kind of there, just with the way it ended in your UFC run, like with that Bisping fight being the last one on your career right now?
Yeah, 100%. And to me, that's what I'm saying, that this is me fulfilling that unfinished business. So it's all gonna come around. I don't know if I'll ever. I highly doubt I'll ever fight Mike Bisping, again or whatever. But and if I would have continued in the UFC, that would have probably had to happen. I would need a rematch with Bisping, and whatever there. But this is fulfilling that unfinished business for me, and I'm excited to see which way it goes.
Well, Alan, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
All right, brother. Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're joined by Jack Della Maddalena, who's set for his second UFC fight. Jack, how's it going, man?
Good, thanks, Cole. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining this. Obviously, another fight, your second one. Like, is this about the right time frame after that debut, which went pretty perfectly?
Yeah, perfect timing for me. Had a bit of time between fights. It's been about 6 months, so just been training hard and super excited to get back in there.
And then being on another pay-per-view, but this time in Singapore, like, how excited are you when you found out that? Like, because obviously fighting, you get to travel the world, and now you get to go to another place.
It's so cool. Singapore is really close to home, same time zone, quick flight. It's literally a quarter of the travel time from here to the US, so that makes things a little bit easier and I guess more enjoyable. So yeah, excited, and it's cool just to be able to check somewhere else out in the world.
How much of a benefit is that for you, where it's not this like day-long travel and then like the complete opposite time, where that probably has to throw you off, especially on fight week trying to get ready for a fight?
Yeah, it's cool. The last 2 trips I've made to the US, we've sort of gone like 2 weeks early just to get acclimatized and just get over that travel, which is so long. But this time, yeah, we just got to get in on fight week, and it's just that much easier, basically. Sitting on a plane for 18 hours is pretty boring, and it does take a bit of energy. So just being able to have that quick travel time is going to make everything that much smoother, I believe.
And your opponent, Ramazan Ameev, like, how familiar were you with him? Like, he's been in the UFC for a while. He was like the M1 champion.
I hadn't prior to the fight, I hadn't actually seen a whole lot on him, but yeah, I've seen his fights now just to see what his style is, and yeah, I'm super excited. I think it's a cool test, a pretty solid competitor, and it's a good challenge, which I can't wait for.
How do you think you match up against him? Just because, like, you look at all his fights, like, they're pretty similar. They all go the distance, and he just kind of try to grind guys out.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily he's a very dangerous opponent. I think he's good at sort of, grinding the fight out to go the distance. I just think, which is perfect. I'm excited. I'm going to try and take him out from the get-go. I think if he's quite flat-footed, I'm going to keep the feet moving and just try and sting him. And I feel like I'm going to get that finish.
And everyone kind of talks about octagon jitters or like for this debut. Like your debut went pretty clean. So are you expecting like an even better performance now that you know what being a UFC fight week is like?
Yeah, I think so. I was all pretty new but the actual fight itself I felt pretty good. I didn't really have any jitters in the fight. I felt pretty fresh. It felt like any other fight. So hopefully no jitters come this time. I don't expect them to come. I feel like I've seen it before now. Now it's just get in there and fight as usual.
And then you come with a very good management company in Paradigm. So like how much of that helped you where they kind of know what everything, like they manage all the top stars. They've kind of seen and done everything with the UFC.
Yeah. Tim's the man. Tim, like the team at Paradigm is so good. They really are. They've seen it all before. So they really just make everything run so smoothly for us fighters. And they do. They go above and beyond for me and make my life easier. And they really just let me focus on the most important thing, which is just getting to the fight and fighting hard.
And a big part of this fight too is you're on the pay-per-view main card. Like how excited are you when you found out that you'd be on the pay-per-view part of it?
Yeah, super excited. To be able to kick off the pay-per-view is so cool. There'll be a lot of eyes on, a lot of people back home that may have just tuned into the pay-per-view, and I'll be able to kick it off with hopefully kick that pay-per-view off with a brutal finish.
Is there any pressure on you like to go out there and get the finish or make it an exciting fight? Just because the UFC normally puts like fights they think are going to be exciting or have a finish in that opening spot to kind of kick off the pay-per-view with a bang.
I don't really feel any extra pressure. I always put that little bit of pressure on myself to try and get that finish and make it like a violent fight. So yeah, no extra pressure. I don't really feel much different. It's just the more I think about it, it's just really just another fight, but I won't let it affect me. It's just on a good spot of the card. But for me, it's the same goal as usual. Try and win the fight and win in spectacular fashion.
Are you kind of expecting Ramazan to try to take you down or clinch you pretty early? Just because I think everyone after your last fight kind of knows how dangerous of a striker you are.
I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to be. He's not always a like really desperate shooter. I don't think he's going to be too desperate on it. I think he will stand up for a bit, but I do definitely expect at multiple points in the fight he will shoot a takedown, try and get in on the clinch. But I think I've got the right tools to stifle that and get that finish.
Who are kind of the main guys you're working with for this fight?
Main guy, always Josh, my older brother. He's a good fighter himself. I've got Jack Becker, who's like the Australian lightweight champion. He's a very good fighter. And then just other people. We've got a really strong team at Scrappy MMA. Lawrence, White Smith, Khan Diada. We've got some really good guys. I can't wait. We've got a good team.
You kind of said it a bit, but a brutal finish. Like, how do you kind of see that one playing out then?
I feel like I'm going to sting him, stick and move until he's pretty beaten up. And when I smell the blood, I'm going to try and take him out.
Do you think it's going to be pretty quick like your last one? Or do you think just because Ramazan's shown that he's durable, he's never been finished, that it's going to go a bit later?
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I think it could go early, could go late, but I'm definitely going to I feel like I'm going to damage him pretty badly. And then I think it'll be on him and how he's willing to take the shots. But I feel I will get that finish, but it might take a bit longer, but I feel like I'll definitely get it.
Where do you think a win puts you in the division? Because I'd be 2-0, like say 2 finishes, and you finish a guy that's never been finished and fought some like tough guys and been around the UFC for a while.
I think it's going to hopefully get me. My goal would be I understand that it's probably not going to get me into the top 15 just yet, but I'm hoping that this fight will be able to get me an opponent next that will be able to elevate me into that top 15. Hopefully by the end of the year, I'm in the top 15, but see what happens. That's not really anything I can control. I can just control the fight itself.
The weird part about this one though is they're catering the time to like the North American audience. You're gonna be fighting like pretty early in the morning. I don't know the exact time for you, but like, is that something you've already started to prepare for and train at that time so you're ready to go like pretty early in the morning?
Not too, but to be honest, I think it's going to be. I will probably fight Singapore's the same time zone to Perth, and we normally train 10 a.m. every day. So I think it actually turns out to be perfectly. I'll probably be fighting at 10 a.m. Perth time. So it works out well every day. We train at 10, so we don't really need to change anything at our end. So
Yeah, I just checked the timing. So because it's 10 p.m. where I live in Canada, so 10 p.m. my time is 10 a.m. In Singapore. So it's better you're later on in the cards. You just go right at 10 pretty much then.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty much just usual training time. So yeah, we haven't had to change much. So it's probably a blessing for us.
How will that morning look then? Just because you're not normally usually fighting at 10 a.m. Like, is there like, because when you kind of have to plan when you're going to eat and all that kind of stuff?
I'll probably just stick to my usual daily routine, which is up at probably about 7. Probably just have a little stretch and move around, have some brekkie, and then get out to the arena. I'm not sure, maybe 8:30, and then just warm up from there. But I think it'll just be a nice morning. It'll be cool not having to worry about the fight all day. Just wake up and get out there and get the job done.
And you were on a pretty big card last time, and this is a pretty big one too. Like 2 title fights, Joanna Whaley rematch. Like, what's it like to be able to share the card with those people?
It's so cool. All the fighters on the card are pretty impressive fighters. People I've watched, looked up to for a long time. So yeah, to be a part of that, be on the main card is something I'm proud of, but doesn't get ahead of the goal at stake.
And you're already 2 fights in front of crowds. Like, do you think the UFC is doing that for a reason? Like, there's some fighters that have been in the UFC for like 2 years and have only fought at the Apex and haven't got that crowd fight.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I had that one Apex fight at Contender Series and had that eerie feeling. But yeah, to get both fights on like a pay-per-view is pretty cool. I'm super excited. I think the crowd brings that element that we sort of, I feel like we miss it a bit. When there's a crowd, everyone sort of picks up their game and it's a bit more exciting. So yeah, I'm glad to have the crowd there. Don't know if it's just luck, but yeah, I'm definitely going to bring it and try and get that crowd buzzing.
Are you having a lot of friends and family go out to Singapore just because it's not too far compared to if you ever fought like in the States again?
Yeah, there is quite a lot of friends and family of mine that are going to make the trip. And I think there's a lot of Perth people and Australians just in general going to make the trip because it's sort of, I think borders are sort of opening at the right time and everyone's keen to get out, have a little holiday, and it makes a good excuse to get out and have a holiday. So yeah, I'm expecting a lot of Australians, a lot of my friends, a lot of my family will be there. So exciting times.
Yeah, and it seems like a bit easier to get into Australia and all that. Like we see some big boxing fights, like Devin Haney's fight, I think is like week before yours. So you kind of hoping maybe the UFC comes back to Australia pretty soon. You can fight at home.
Hopefully, I can only hope. But yeah, hopefully in the new year we see an event here or 1 or 2 events here would be, to fight in Australia would be incredible.
Is that something you've already thought about? Is like that walkout and that energy for your UFC fight in Australia for you?
Yeah, I could imagine it will be absolutely insane. And I don't think it's too far away. I think next year there will be, I don't have anything to base that off, but I would expect next year to have an Australian fight card. And if there is a show in Australia, I'm definitely going to be trying as hard as I can to get on that card.
Already your second fight of the year, and it's only June when you fight. So like, how many more fights do you really want this year then?
I would love to get another 2 in. 4 fights a year would be pretty active. A good year, fight out my contract, and then hopefully start off a big year next year. But yeah, another 4 fights this year I'd be very happy with that.
And then you can put Tim to work and get you that new contract and more money.
Yeah, exactly. That's the goal.
Just last thing, like you kind of mentioned a bit, like everything goes your way here. Like, ideal goal for you this year is 2 fights and probably a top 15 guy in that last one?
Yeah, that's it. Probably try and get this fight out of the way, get the win, devastating finish. Hopefully, get the next fight's one that can elevate me to that top 15.
Well, Jack, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Cole, pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.